hello. He just grabbed my pen like that, getting ink on my fingers almost, but I didn't. I said, hello, how are you? I'm back from holiday. I was on holiday yesterday. It ended yesterday, and I'm back. Still not had a shave. Was eager to get back into drawing, but didn't know what to draw. And then I realised I thought about drawing some of my drawing materials. It's always a good thing to do if you're not sure what to draw. So that's what I'm doing. Also, I mean, how difficult is it to draw a pen? So my main pen is a Lamy, I think it's Lamy Safari, and I've got a few of these. I'm not sure if they're all Safaris actually, because some are slightly different. So this one I'm using, and this one here, they're both basically the same, just one's green and one's a charcoal grey. I've also got this one here. You see that? Boom. And I'll show you there. And that's slightly bigger than this one. Yeah, so but I do have a thinner nib in this. This is my favourite. And if I have a look, I'll show you what I use in it. I use this ink converter, also from Lamy. Let's say Lamy. I prefer Lamy. This lets you use draw your own ink from a bottle. I use permanent ink. Now a lot of people say you shouldn't use permanent ink in these pens, but I've had no trouble ever. And then what I use is platinum carbon ink, which is very nice. It's from Japan, and that's great ink. The key to using this cartridge is to make sure when you're putting it back in, there are little nodes on the cartridge. Make sure they click into the little thin slots that are available in the pen. I hope that's visible. It probably isn't. But that's my main pen to draw with. And I like it. I really enjoy using this pen. It's got two flat edges and two round edges, which is very comfortable to use. I'm going to do some hatching. I often use the back of the nib or the top of the nib to do some finer lines, rather than grabbing the pen that's got a finer nib anyway. I just seem to prefer, it's easy to just keep turning it as you're working. So let's get that in there. And then I often paint stuff, won't I? You've seen me before. Two paints I use. One, both Winsor Newton. First watercolour I use are Cotman Watercolours. They are the slightly cheap version of Winsor Newton paints, but they're not like rubbish cheap. They're still good cheap. So we do them, and that's got a great big fat tube here of Cotman watercolour. Just do this bit. The other watercolour I use is the professional Winsor Newton Professional watercolour. That is, to be honest, once I've used all these Cotman watercolours up, I'm only going to get professional. There's a lot of pigment in them. When I space here, they're really, really full of pigment. Got this Naples yellow. Smaller tubes, more expensive than this one, but they're really good, rich colours. So I think it's worth spending the money, even if you're not selling anything. I think it provides more pleasure using a decent quality paint. People will often say, you've heard the old adage, a workman is only as good as his tools. And I think it pays to get good paints. Definitely. I'm not going to do all this. Look at me just scratching shapes in. You get the idea. There we go. So that's those two. Occasionally I'll use some gouache, which is, again, let's label these, shall we? Let's label these. That should be an F. That teaches me for writing backwards, isn't it? Lamy Safari. Cotman Watercolour. Professional Watercolour. Let's draw this. I mean, they're all the same, aren't they? Same tube shapes. Gouache is another one where I recommend you get the posh stuff. That makes a huge difference. I got some cheap gouache. My first gouache was really cheap, and it put me off it. I just assumed that gouache was rubbish. Yeah, I know a great illustrator called Neil Gower who uses gouache all the time, and his was so rich. And I realised you need good quality gouache. And gouache is like watercolour paint, but even more pigment in it. It's ridiculously full of colour, which is great for that. It's opaque, so you often get very flat colours. I like using watercolour because there's more areas where some are more bits are watered down more, and there's more pigment in certain areas as you're moving the brush around. I really like the texture that you can get with watercolours, and you can layer over it with other colours to create different colours. But gouache is basically flat colour, mostly opaque. So if you go over gouache with another colour, it's going to cover it properly on top, so you won't see the bottom colour showing through the top colour. So that makes sense. Let's draw my little watercolour tray, which is here. That's all I've got. Well, I've got 12 colours in there. This green and this raw sienna, I think it is, might be burnt sienna, they're kind of undecided. Pretty much every other colour in here, they're my permanent colours. I stick with them. These two, raw sienna, burnt sienna, could change. I might try a really dark red in that place. I'm not sure. The green, it's a bit too, I think it's a phthalo green. It's too strong, I think. Maybe I'm going to try that with a more grass colour green. Anyway, so I need to draw it. I've got a few of these paint, like travelling companion things, whatever you want to call them. This is my main one. It came empty. There wasn't any paint in it when I got it. I like to buy the tubes and put my own paint in. And I've done it too small, so we're missing 2 colours. Plan, Darren, plan. Doesn't matter, does it? Actually, my mum got me this for Christmas when I already had loads, and I'm like, oh, thank you. Oh, I've already got some, but it's turned into my favourite one. So thanks, Mum. Our perspectives all off here. Doesn't matter, does it? I say that a lot in my videos, don't I? It doesn't matter. You'll say many times I mess things up. Put this gouache, by the way, is designer's gouache. Here we go. There we are. Right, let's get some paint down. Brushes. Oh yes. I always use a flat brush. My main brush is a flat brush. I no longer know what size that is because the indicators come off. No idea. People who are more expert in it than me will know. So Naples yellow, this is the Naples yellow one there. Let's do that. And Naples yellow goes here. There we are. This one was cadmium red deep hue. When it says hue, it's an imitation of an old colour or an existing colour. So cadmium red deep hue, I think, is an imitation of cadmium red. Cadmium is a mineral that goes into making cadmium colour paints. And I think it's poisonous and expensive as well. So this is an imitation of that colour, and it's much cheaper. That's that, and it can go there. Yellow ochre, and my brush is dirty, so got a hint of blue in that. That'll be alright. There we go. Then this, whatever it is, burnt sienna, etc, etc. Do I have to name all the colours as I paint them? Don't really, do I? Well, maybe you want to know. Maybe you want to know. That was phthalo blue. Very intense, rich colour. Another good blue is Prussian blue. Whoa, look at that. That's something else, isn't it? Beautiful. Burnt umber I use. Now, burnt umber mixed with Prussian blue gives you a really good dark colour. Can be used for black. You can add more blue and it gets a little bit more greeny. Add more Prussian blue and it starts getting more black. That's a great colour. Here's another awesome colour. This is a turquoise colour. I think it's cobalt. Now that, again, the mineral cobalt. I don't think this one is a hue. I think this is a proper full-on colour and it's really rich. I've got a new gamboge here which is a yellowy, golden yellowy colour. Bit of green as well. Let's put that there. And then we have a Payne's Grey, which is another very dark colour. You can use instead of black. See there, I mean that is virtually black, isn't it there? Let's use some of the colours I didn't quite get. Put some of this green in there. We got some blue. If you get this wet, sorry. Banging the camera, that's not good for YouTube presentation, is it? Terrible. Lovely. Grey. No, don't have a grey. I said Payne's Grey, but that's virtually black. Mix some of your blue and burnt umber together. Prussian blue. And then just keep adding more water to that mix. And you can use that on your tubes. Create a metallic effect. Very nice. And I also need to use it on my pen. A bit darker. And like that. There we go. And then just for you, let's put some of this gouache on. Look at that. You only need a tiny amount. You may have just seen that at the top of your screen. Just a tiny amount. You need some water. Should be clean water. I've not got clean water. There we go. Oh, yes, 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 yes. And I'm going to do a band all the way across. Look at that. Oh, yeah. I'm going to do that. Beautiful. Right. This was done, by the way, in a Etchr's sketchbook. That's Etchr. And it was a gift. It's really expensive. They're really good books. They're sturdy. The paper is marvellous. Cold press, 230 gram paper. They are not cheap. They're a treat sketchbook, you know what I mean? Let's give you these here. In order. Go. That's my main pen. There we are. So that's my main sketching materials. It's mainly the pen and the watercolour. The gouache doesn't get used that much at the moment. But you know, I go in and out of different moods and different materials and that. That's what I use. Tell me what you've got. If you've got anything, any tips, any really great posh watercolours you use, do let me know. I'd love to check them out. Yeah, right. Thanks for watching. See you later.